I'm going to play a very quick clip to give some time to join. It's 30 seconds, but you'll see our face and the very first person that will bring up. So get excited. Okay, cool. That was super sexy. At least I thought it was super cool. But just a brief introduction. I guess while Declan awkwardly sits in the background, I am Emily. I am the developer advocate for Linea. Today I'm kind of hosting the completion of our mainnet launch. Just a quick kind of housekeeping first. Welcome if you guys are joining from Decentraland. We are streaming in the metaverse. Very cool. There are wearables that are available to claim, I think up until 12 p.m. EST, so 3 p.m. UTC. My understanding is voice chat is enabled in Decentraland. Hopefully no one's talking over each other, so I recommend muting, please. So be respectful of everyone joining. But then anyways, you can also mute other people. I think that's all the housekeeping so far. So we're gonna start, like, obviously today is the completion of the mainnet launch. We started, I believe, July 18th. We kind of start with the roots, and that's kind of why Declan, I'm bringing you on. Let's talk about kind of significant metrics we've seen and want to celebrate since the launch, and then kind of talk about, how we got there and what is planned for the future.
Yeah, thanks, Emily. So hi, everyone. Hello from Decentraland, for those people out there. I guess just to sort of zoom out and take a little step back and think about where we've come from to get here. It's always nice to think about the journey to get to this moment in time. So we actually launched first our private testnet early at the beginning of this year. That was on January the 9th. That was just to some early testers to help us sort of validate that the ZK EVM was in fact a technology that could help the Web3 ecosystem, and the feedback was great. So then on March the 28th, we opened up to the public, the testnet. We rebranded from Consensus ZK EVM to Linea. And then we started the Linea Voyages, which was an amazing campaign, 9 weeks of learning about the ecosystem and all the different dApps that could be built on Linea. And then on July the 11th, we started onboarding early partners, and July the 18th at EFCC in Paris, we actually had the first set of users join the Linea ecosystem, and the first apps really start to show what they can do on a scaling solution like Linea. Since then, so since July the 18th, we've seen amazing traction. It's been a great start to the ecosystem. We've had, I think, nearly 200 different protocols deploy now. It's growing each day. It's hard to keep up, and these are protocols across every single vertical that you'd find in crypto. So DeFi, NFTs, bridging partners, different wallets, on ramps. It's been amazing to kind of see the excitement around the Linea ecosystem, and it's been amazing to be a part of that. We've also seen a lot of value bridged from mainnet. So Linea, as a roll-up, has a native bridge to Ethereum mainnet. Lots of people have used this bridge already to move. I think the number is around $30 million of ETH, native ETH, from mainnet to Linea, which is great. It's a great start. We've also seen many transactions. So lots of transactions, lots of high activity as people start to interact with dApps. We kind of expect to see a lot more now that we have this amazing milestone today. So should I touch on what we're announcing today, Emily, or are we saving that for later?
Marco, our head of growth, is going to touch on kind of a little bit about the token bridge, and then we'll have Ryan to talk about the campaign. But yeah, I mean, if you want to give kind of the product aspect, feel free.
Yeah. So just why is Linea different? Why is it special? Why is the community really excited about Linea? Well, firstly, it's a ZK EVM rollup. It's a bytecode compatible ZK EVM. So you get all of the magical powers of zero knowledge. This allows you to scale blockchains, scale dApps without sacrificing security or decentralization. And we're doing that whilst maintaining the network effects of Ethereum and of the EVM. So if you're a developer or a user, everything works exactly the same as layer one. It's really that simple. So we've managed to pretty much move the ecosystem of Ethereum mainnet, which is huge and has become the sort of go-to standard, to a scaling solution that is going to provide much lower gas costs, so cheaper transactions for users, higher throughput, so you can have new use cases like gaming, like high volume DeFi, social activity as well, so decentralized social. And we're sort of maintaining that developer experience of the EVM. And that's why Linea is great.
Okay, awesome. Do you want to dive into, why Linea will continue to be great, as in kind of what users can expect moving forward and we're working on?
Yeah, sure. So on the technical side, so currently the roadmap we are focused on as an ecosystem on continuing to lower transaction costs. So implementing upgrades from the Ethereum protocol itself, things like 4844 or proto tank sharding. This will just lead to cheaper gas costs for users. We'll also have shorter block times as well, so you have confirmations much faster and fit more transactions into a block, which is great for unlocking new use cases. We'll also be leveraging more of the consensus product suite as well. So one of the great things about Linea is it's come out of the consensus ecosystem. So consensus, which has helped to produce different products and public goods like MetaMask, Infura, Truffle, things that have helped the Ethereum L1 directly, like Besu and Teku, execution client and consensus clients. And we're going to continue to sort of work with those teams to solve solutions together. And for example, later this year we'll have Besu, which is an execution client on Mainnet. Today it's the third largest execution client on Ethereum. Will also be the sequencer, so the part of the architecture that builds blocks on Linea. So we're actually reusing pieces of code which have been battle tested and are very reliable. Having built blocks on Ethereum, they'll be building blocks on Linea too. And then we have MetaMask as well, but I'm sure Ryan and co will jump into that.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining. I know you have I pull you into everything, and, I think last time we talked, it was, 1 hour and 25 minutes or something insane. So I will let you go to do some more work, unless you have anything you wanna wrap up with. I'm going to bring on Marco, our head of growth.
So good. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Emily.
Okay, cool. Goodbye. And then we're switching over. And we have one of my favorite people on the team and someone that I keep telling to take vacation, but he never does. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Emily. Thank you very much for the warm intro. I'm Marco, and I'm leading the growth for Linea, part of this journey since the very beginning. And yeah, happy to be here today to have this big announcement. So we are finally fully live on Mainnet.
Yes. Okay, cool. I brought you in here to kind of talk about what we're celebrating today, what it means to complete or finalize, our mainnet launch, and a little bit about the words canonical token bridge launch. I'll let you take it away. The Marco.
So yeah, what we are celebrating today is actually that Linea is fully live on Mainnet. Why we say Linea is fully live on Mainnet if yesterday I was able to run transactions on Linea? Because actually we were missing until today one of the most important infrastructural piece for actually any layer 2 that you can think about. And it's actually the Canonical token bridge. So today we announced that we are live with the Canonical token bridge. If we want to have a double click, to do a double click on this, the ability to let all the user bringing existing Ether or other asset like tokens, ERC20 tokens, or even stable coins from the layer 1 to the layer 2, it's very important. It's basically the most important feature for every layer 2, because if not, you need to recreate ecosystem from scratch. And this actually affects the adoption of the network, the utility of the scaling solution that any layer 2 propose. But if we look more closely on how bridging works, we can easily figure out the potential issues that may arise from this, because if every bridge provider that are third parties of every layer 2 networks, if they start to wrap the existing token from Ethereum to layer 2, let's say USDC from layer 1 to layer 2, what we will end up with is a different set of USDC on the layer 2 on Linea. So you, as a user, you will get a different version of USDC according to the bridge provider that you're going to use. This creates a lot of confusion because my USDC will be different from your USDC, and will also reduce the UX, because if you think about a DEX pool, for example, if you want to do a swap between Ether and USDC, you are going to have different pairs, one pair for each USDC that has been bridged on the network. And I can have dozens of these USDC because we have dozens of bridge partners. So what's the end result is liquidity fragmentation and very poor user experience. A canonical token bridge in this case is perfect to avoid this issue, because it can support the social consensus formation around a specific token on Linea that we call canonical version of the token. And it could be a stable coin or every other ERC20. It's also very important to have a canonical token bridge, because canonical token bridge actually inherits the same level of security of the underlying rollup. So every dApps, every partners that relies on ERC20 will actually converge on using canonical token bridge, because if they trust the rollup security, they will also trust the bridge security that it's fully associated with the rollup. And so, yeah, having an official canonical token bridge, it's very important for every network. We were running without the token bridge until yesterday, or we had the token bridge, but it was just available for partners. But we did not start with the canonical token bridge when we announced the Linea Live on Mainnet in Paris. So today we have it, and it's really important. Again, reducing fragmentation, it's really a matter of increasing the adoption, increasing the user experience, and having better user experience when users use Linea dApps. It's also very important because what it's really needed is a canonical token list. So it's the list of the tokens that the Linea team declare as canonical. But in order to get these tokens must be controlled by the bridge in order for the bridge to be able to, the canonical bridge to be able to bridge them from Ethereum mainnet. And so we were not able to have a canonical token list before because we did not have a canonical bridge before. And so, yeah, actually, this explains why we did not have any canonical token list so far, and now we have it, and we just officially release it, and everyone can connect to https://bridge.linea.build, and they will find the canonical token bridge with the canonical token list. But still, it's very important for me to mention that this bridge, it's not really intended to be used by retail user, because this is more developed for technical operator. We believe that the bridging business, it's not our core business, that we have amazing partners that works on bridging much better than we can do. So we just designed this canonical token bridge to be used by technical partners and technical providers to move liquidity across Ethereum layer 1 and Linea. But we actually invite all the users to leverage our partners. We went live with a Twitter thread last week by mentioning all the bridge partners that we have on Linea, and I have to thanks this partner because they were really great, because Linea is a permissionless network. Any bridge partner will be able to just take advantage of the fact that we did not have the canonical token bridge and deploy their version of stablecoins on Linea in this previous 3 weeks from the go live. And actually they could take the advantages from this position and be the one bridging the first version of these stable coins or ERC20 token. Instead, we asked our partners to wait for us, and all of them waited. I was very happy to see this. We worked together, and they went live, letting user bridging ERC20 token and stablecoin only when we released the Canonical token bridge. So we did not experience any fragmentation on Linea so far, and this actually deserve a big thank you to all our bridge partners. So I will touch another point that it's very important, and it's part of your question, Emily. So what does this mean? Now we have the Canonical token bridge. Now we have the Canonical token list. We have all partners that are integrating the bridge. So what does this mean for the end user? What changed for the end user? Actually, having a Canonical token list will let all users to bridge their stablecoins and their favorite ERC20 token from Ethereum Mainnet to Linea. And this actually will unlock the DeFi on Linea. So you can think about that many DeFi protocol did not release the dApps on Mainnet just because of the bad UX that they will provide to their user. Without a stable coin, it's very, it's not really the best ideal scenario to do a swap between Ether and Rapid or Ether and some native Linea token. So now that we have all the ERC20 coming from Ethereum Mainnet and other layer 2 thanks to our partners, now DeFi can really take off on Linea and can officially start. So with this announcement that we are having today, we are also telling everyone that we are live with DeFi as well. And in the last 2 to 3 days, we had something like 20 different dApps, DeFi dApps, already live on Linea, and much more will come in the next coming weeks. So this is a great thing to announce. Last thing I would say, just to build on top of this, all the people that are watching this stream from YouTube, you are missing a big opportunity because we invited all our DeFi partners and all Decentraland, so can act with builders of dApps that are Linea. And it's very important because you can talk with our partners, they are there on Decentraland for you. To talk to them, you can do your own research, is always important. You can familiarize with their value proposition, and you can also get a swag, a Linea swag that is super cool, and you can bring with you when you interact with Decentraland. So we invite you to come to close YouTube and join Decentraland and join us, and we can meet there. That's more or less. The same Canonical token bridge that we just released is the same thing that enabled the campaign that we're going to announce in the upcoming section. So I will love to hand over to you, and if you have any other question, I'm here.
Yay, the Marco monologue, always so informative. I love it. Yes, just to re-highlight what Marco was talking about Decentraland, you can find instructions on joining on our blog, linea.mirror.xyz. Do want to note some things. After this stream, a few of us will be staying on to be able to chat, talk about Linea, get excited about all the partners, as well as, what else was I going to say? There's some technical things of I think 50 per server with Decentraland, so you have to refresh a few times if you want to meet different people. And then with regards to the wearables, there is a 1,000 wearable limit because that affects kind of the rarity of it. But hopefully you guys got in early. I'm really excited to see who's supporting the swag. But Marco, I will kick you off now, and I'm going to bring on someone very important. So as Marcus said, we are unlocking the DeFi ecosystems. This is really dependent on partners who are helping us do that. What are we doing? We are doing something called a USDC campaign. I'm going to be quiet and let someone who's actually worked on it talk a little bit about it. So, Ryan Jones, I already said your name, but please reintroduce yourself and then you can tell us a little bit about the campaign and maybe a walkthrough of how to actually interact.
Awesome. Thanks, Emily, for having me on. Yeah, so I'm Ryan Jones. I'm one of the product leaders over on MetaMask. I'm here to specifically talk through the campaign, as Emily was mentioning. As both Emily and Marco mentioned, like the best way in terms of determining and building out value for customers is to partner with a lot of others in the ecosystem. And so that's what we're here to talk about today. What we're going to be doing, so starting tomorrow until the end of the month, we're going to be enabling zero fee USDC purchases on Linea with our Banksa and Transact partners. So what this means is that you'll be able to actually go and buy USDC directly on Linea and not pay a bunch of extra fees, right? And so this is a huge thing when it comes to self-custodial wallets and making sure that we can onboard as many people as we possibly can. I'm going to go through and I'm going to show how you can actually do this starting tomorrow. And we'll, of course, have Banksa and Transact as offerings by tomorrow as well. So you may not see both of them at the beginning. So in order to get to this, there's 3 different ways in which you can go to it. The first is through the extension, where you just hit the buy button, through mobile, where it's a native experience. Again, in there, you hit the buy button as well. And when you hit the buy button on the extension, you're going to end up in what we call the MetaMask portfolio. You can go directly to the MetaMask portfolio as a means to go in and interact, but this, in terms of the buy of USDC, you can do that by just going to portfolio.metamask.io. For those that don't know what the MetaMask portfolio is, it's essentially your hub for Web3. This is where you can safely and securely handle a lot of the primitives, see what's going on with your portfolio, add a bunch of different accounts, either that you already have in your wallet or other ones that you want to just watch. And you'll be able to manage a lot of that just in one location. So in here, once you get to the buy button, you'll be able to go through and select in Linea the network, USDC, and I have here the over in the UK. Just as a heads up for anyone in the US, this will not work. It is for those who are overseas. And you'll be able to pick between Transact and in locations, Banksa as well. And you'll be able to go through and actually do the purchase. I'm not able to go through it because I am located in the US, but it should be pretty smooth in terms of going through and making sure that you have a profile on each of those on-ramp providers.
Okay.
So it should be simple as that. But yeah, super excited to help roll this out. And you'll be able to interact with Linea kind of throughout our different products of MetaMask. And also just to call out in terms of what Marco was saying, we are going to be looking to add bridging directly in the MetaMask portfolio. So again, you can just stay in the portfolio to do a lot of your primary tasks. And then you can jump off into the ecosystem to whatever it is that you want to interact with in terms of other dApps out there.
Okay. Very cool. Thank you for that little step by step. I did want to highlight a few things. I like MetaMask portfolio is actually something very new to me. I kind of hear rumblings about it because I am at Consensus. Can you just quickly give us an overview of what MetaMask portfolio is and maybe like why it's important for Linea?
Yes. So MetaMask portfolio, the goal of it is to kind of be your hub for anything Web3. We're going to be adding a bunch more functionality in there. We want to make it so you never have to use a centralized exchange ever again. So really leverage the technology of self-custodial, but we want to make it a safe, secure space for you to interact with and then leverage it as your hub to then jump into what we call the frontier, which is essentially all the different dApps that you want to interact with outside of the ecosystem. We, of course, wanted to make sure that we integrated Linea into kind of our various systems, and especially in the portfolio, as we really want to leverage it as a great onboarding experience for users, right? And so this increases speed and decreases cost, and it really helps individuals kind of come into the ecosystem, and we really want to leverage Linea for that. And so, again, you'll start to see more and more experiences start to leverage Linea throughout the portfolio. And then we'll continue to find additional ways to produce value to end users through using the the infrastructure of Linea at the bottom.
Okay, very cool. Just to give some more little to-do actions. First off, this is a really ambitious campaign to do. There are some legal terms and conditions that apply. If you want to, and you should dive into this. I don't want to like bore you by reading a document. Again, you can also find this on our blog, linea.mirror.xyz. I think it's the most recent post. I'll give you a little bit more detail about the campaign, as well as, I guess, not a little bit more detail, a lot more detail about the campaign than what is interesting to say in a live stream and rattle off. But yes, very cool. This was something I had heard about and had so much trouble not telling people about it because I think it's really cool and super important. Yeah. This was not possible without like the partners that helped enable. So I'm gonna bring them on. Um, MetaMask obviously is one of our big partners. So Ryan, you're staying here, but I'm gonna bring on some very cool people. I do. Let me see. Somebody has okay, nice. Okay, cool. What am I gonna say here? The introduction for this section is we've been celebrating Linea, but honestly, Linea is not an important part. Or okay, it's an important part, but I think you guys are the most important part. And want to kind of get your views on how DeFi and like your impressions as I guess DeFi projects unlock ecosystem. So like obviously the Linea ecosystem, but kind of taking a bird's eye view and getting your thought leadership as a whole. So before we start, please like everybody introduce yourselves so we're not just talking into the void of faces. We can start. I don't know what order everyone's going, but we'll start with Angel, Ryan, Seamus, and then Yeshu. And that is how we are going to introduce ourselves. So go ahead.
Thank you, Emily. Hello, everyone. Very excited to be here. My name is Angel. I'm the head of growth at Banksa. Banksa is one of the leading on-ramp providers in the space. We've been providing on and off-ramp services since 2014, and we're very excited to be working very closely with MetaMask in onboarding users and allowing users to buy and sell assets within the most important Web3 wallet in the space. With I guess our vision in continuing to support MetaMask, we're very excited to be one of the launching partners of Linea, and I think this is just the beginning with a lot more to come when it comes to unlocking more utility in the ecosystem. And do you want me to answer the question now, or we just finish the round?
No. Just tell me about yourself. I don't care about your opinion yet. So next we'll have Ryan, and then Yeshu, and we'll end with Seamus.
Yeah, I'll go super fast because I already gave a little bit of an introduction. But yeah, Ryan Jones, product leader over at MetaMask.
Cool. Maybe I can go. Yeah, I'm Yeshu. I'm one of the co-founder and CTO in Transact. Transact is a global on and off ramp provider, and we are one of the longest on ramp working with MetaMask since years now. And basically we are bridging the gap between traditional finance and centralized finance here, and making Web3 accessible more, and working around multiple solutions like global off ramp, like now coming soon on Linea as well, right? That's me and Transact.
Cool. Hey everyone, my name is Seamus. I'm the business development lead here at Circle. Circle is best known as the issuer of USDC and Eurocoin. We actually just rolled out a suite of tools for developers to on-ramp more easily too. I'm sure everyone knows about USDC, Eurocoin, things like that, and all of these intros, but if I'm on this call, I am fired up because every one of these people are working really hard to make it easier for you all to get access into DeFi and things like that. So when Ryan dropped that alpha of zero fee trading, I almost dropped off the live stream, but then realized I'm in the US, so that won't work out. But it's great to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yes. Okay. Very exciting. So we're gonna take on the first question again. I'll repeat it. I hope you remember the order of which I called you out because that is the order in which I would like to get your opinions. But I guess to set the stage, people kind of always ask me like, "Oh, what is Linea looking for? What should I build?" And my answer is like obviously everything. Just build whatever. Uh, strikes your fancy. But I think it is really pivotal, that, DeFi, both as kind of the first use case for crypto in general, and then kind of DeFi and like extending into Linea is really important. So I'd like to get your opinions on, the title of this panel, why is DeFi important to unlocking an ecosystem, and maybe a little into like, why did you guys decide to get into the space, right? Of DeFi specifically, because it's important, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we look at DeFi, I think everyone's goal in this space is to improve what the traditional finance space has been trying to accomplish for so long. And fundamentally, smart contract platforms create a permissionless pathway for users to be able to generate yield in a much more decentralized and trustless fashion, right? As the initial use case for a blockchain, I think, especially an Ethereum-based blockchain, being able to bring TVL into a blockchain is essential to of course showcase the strengths and the health of an ecosystem. I think it really starts from the grassroots community that a blockchain. We're all here in a sense from a community standpoint. But when looking at DeFi, being able to have multiple dApps and multiple projects generate safe yield for the users is essential. And at the same time, having the experience and the UX for them to feel safe and to be able to onboard users that are not significant crypto natives, right? I think one of the key challenges from DeFi is that it has a very steep learning curve. And what we're really trying to invest in this partnership is to lower that friction point. When we think about on and off ramping, what we really want to have is a safe gateway for people to go from traditional finance, from the fiat monetary space, to be able to start interacting more with DeFi protocols. We offer our services in over 130 countries. So our goal is to have a very much global approach in how users can interact with DeFi. But at the same time, we want to be able to support a lot of the long-standing blue chip projects that are going to be in supporting Linea as well. And Linea as a blockchain has a lot of great functionalities, and I think being able to lower the cost of the transaction for the end users is going to make it one of the most important hubs for users to test out DeFi. So hopefully, with a very smooth and clean UX, we can really kick off a very steep adoption curve.
Cool. Ryan, take it away.
Perfect. Yeah. Happy to jump in. So I tend to think about DeFi as kind of like an infrastructure sort of play. Pretty much everything that you're interacting with or end consumers are interacting with are some form of assets, right? Those assets may not necessarily have value, but DeFi is really providing kind of like the foundational pieces to allow for people to interact when it comes to liquidity, borrowing, and lending. And so, especially for any new ecosystem, it's really important to have essentially those pipes already built out and in there and available for individuals to then leverage, or developers to leverage and build those end consumer experiences. My background was in traditional finance over at Goldman Sachs, managing money over there, and so I got to see kind of from the other traditional finance perspective, kind of how much there was that was needed. And how much more efficient that we could be when it comes to it. So I'm really excited to be kind of working with all these partners and seeing what we can do on Linea and really leverage that infrastructure to really provide end value to our consumers. And so that's pretty much it from my side. And yeah, really excited from like that perspective of getting this up and running. And we're still certainly very early days, but I'll pass it over to Yeshu.
Hi. So I see this. So basically, we started Transact 4 years back, and we're seeing this. Everyone was facing issues with like, I mean, that time Aave was coming, Inside App were coming. These kind of apps were building applications, and kind of DeFi applications were building on different blockchains like Ethereum. Later on, Polygon also came up, and we are seeing like this onboarding something to DeFi apps was very like problematic that time. Why DeFi actually, like we were seeing that like currently or that time we were seeing like Web3 apps, DeFi apps are is something a new trendy thing. But in the near future, we are seeing like application will be known as normal app, and companies will be using like some kind of Web3 technologies in their own company. Like, so I mean, like seeing the advantages of permissionless and like having this kind of democratic finances. We are seeing like every single company, the big Fortune 500 company, will be having some kind of pieces in the internal system where they will be making it decentralized somewhere, right? Right now we are seeing many brands named like Aave and like many other DeFi apps right now. So what we are focusing on here is like in Transact, like making sure it's well accessible. Like Web2 users can easily access to Web3 app with no learning curve, no jargons of gas fees, and providing it to, let's say, in Linea as well, right? Like whenever any users coming to Linea, making sure they don't go like basically we don't work with like only attract like crypto native audience. We also work with like non crypto native, like our mom dad even can use platforms like blockchains like Linea and easily use DeFi apps on top of it. So this is something we see the importance of it in DeFi space. Yeah.
I don't have too much to add. Everyone touched on the great things here. I would say DeFi to me feels like a decentralized trading post. And you think of back in the day, people might go to the town square or center. Hey, I need to buy something. Hey, I can lend you this. Like DeFi to me is that on steroids. And it's no longer like the traditional finance days of, oh, the bank just closed, I got to wait until Monday. Or, oh, I know someone that might be able to hook you up with this. And really that was the inspiration behind Circle and USDC is how can we allow anyone across the globe instant access to a digital dollar? And I think DeFi really is one of the proven use cases that helps bring in users and liquidity into a brand new layer 1, layer 2, which is so critical in the early days. And I think DeFi has really spurred that growth and shown people what's possible. And the role of Circle is how do we allow people to have a store of value that they know and can trust. And if anyone has tried accessing dollars outside of the US, it can be really, really tough, or just too expensive. And you say, I'm going to walk away, I can't access this. So we're really excited about that. That's what gets me really excited about DeFi in general.
Okay, very cool. So my next question, I think I'm going to dial into kind of a few points that you guys have touched on. I think from the perspective of Linea, right, we are decreasing transaction times, gas costs, and that is obviously one friction point of onboarding on into kind of DeFi and as well as the Web3 ecosystem. You guys are big players. You know a lot more than I do. I'm curious if you have anything more you would like to elaborate in terms of friction points, your solutions from, and I'm going to seed some answers, but please expand past this, like UX perspective. I was thinking like, oh, regulatory is a word, and then, Web 2 versus Web 3 paradigms, and, pick your poison. You don't have to address everything. But in order to kind of even the playing field, we'll start with Seamus, go to Yeshu, Ryan, and Angel. You will be last. So let's start. Go for it.
I'll go quick too, and I think like you relate to things from personal experiences, right? Like I love using MetaMask, but things that scare me and things that have been difficult are, am I clicking the right thing? Am I signing the right transaction? And you relate to personal experiences. If I'm going to buy a coffee, would I really spend $6 with a certain credit card to buy a $4 coffee? Probably not. And I might walk away from that, but I might really want that coffee. And I feel like that's the days that we're in right now for these early adopters. But in order to really introduce this, to have my mom and grandmother start using it, you need to do things where the on-ramp's easier. And I'm teeing up these guys for better answers here. But for me, the UX is everything. Like if you scare a user away, they're intimidated, like the drop-off's going to be pretty steep. And we want it to be as easy as, and we always talk about this at Circle, like you never tell someone I'm sending a cross-border email. We don't want you to say I'm making a cross-border transfer of value of money. You just want to say I'm sending USDC. I'm on-ramping USDC. I'm depositing USDC to get a loan. And that's the goal I think all of us here in the call are looking to strive towards. And this is everyone listening, this is the team that's going to help you get there. So that's my answer, and I'll pass it along.
Yeah. The way I see is there's a big problem with UX. I think like we address that UX problem, and when it comes to like we're also seeing many new chains also coming up and for the end users is very hard to understand, and we are seeing like many crypto native users only like adopting new chains or adopting like new things into this industry. And basically like something we need to focus on heavily is like making it the application which is building on this these blockchains and these new chains is firstly designed for non-crypto native users. I mean, developers should focus on the first audience should be non-crypto native users, then only we'll be seeing a massive adoption. Generally when I talk talking about experiences, like when I talk with developers, like let's say in the conferences, they're saying like first I'm building for crypto native users, and then I'm trying to build it for non-crypto native users. Meaning like when they talk about integration with us, like on ramp as an on ramp, they say that we first build our application for non-crypto native users, right? Like just signing with wallet and then buy a deposit from wallet, bridge it, and then like where users can use it. So my first thing should be like they should from the day zero they should think about like non-crypto native users as well when they're launching the application. Talking about the regulatory side, yeah, like I mean like DeFi is still like very relatively new industry, right? Like and regulatory is very uncertain. So and DeFi apps is like they also when they're building these applications like is very hard for them to also think about regulations. That's where on ramp off ramp providers comes in there, like because we are solving this problem day and night. We are working on only on these problems there. So they should make a best solution, like best smart contract, best user experience application, making sure user doesn't need to learn about technical jargons of crypto, right? And they kind of give this regulatory burden to Transact or other on-ramp providers, where they just build a beautiful application for non-native users. So yeah, this is something which I see the friction points and the solution out there. Yeah. Over to Ryan.
Perfect, thank you. Hopefully it's not too hard to hear me. There's some vacuuming going on in the background, so I won't take too long. But yeah, very much what Yesu and Seamus already said. User experience is extremely important. What we've seen to be kind of the blockers for most people coming into this ecosystem and leveraging this ecosystem is really the on and off ramps. And so if we can kind of work with partners and figure out better and better ways to get people to get access to these assets, to then interact with the ecosystem and just pretty much leverage this technology to interact with each other online, I think Bankless had a great podcast recently around Africa, and a lot of people were saying, like, even if they have access to the internet, they can't interact with it because of the financial side that's associated with it. So when you add in on and off ramps along with things, Circle, like what Circle's doing with USDC, it really starts to empower a lot of individuals around the world. And so what we're trying to do on the MetaMask side is leverage something like the MetaMask portfolio to make that UX a lot more intuitive, to really just get people to ramp up, to get their wallets to have the right assets that they need to then go interact with what it is that's out there. And we've kind of taken an aggregator strategy to start as a means to make sure that we give a lot of different options to our users and really give all that information to them up front. Yeshu, I think, may have slipped a little bit of some future alpha that might be coming in terms of what we're doing. So certainly off-ramps are on our roadmap, and we'll be looking to try to integrate those things into something like the MetaMask portfolio as well. That's it over to Angel.
Yeah, no, great. I think definitely to not continue to go on the UX route. I think all of my counterparts have made great points. But one of the challenges that we also see for new blockchains is being able to get liquidity into the blockchain. I like to refer as a new blockchain almost like an island that it can be hard without the required infrastructure to let users bring liquidity or bring more allow users to really bring their assets to be able to interact with the various platforms and the various DeFi protocols that are supporting the network. Going back to the previous discussion about the Canonical bridge, I think this is the first fundamental infrastructure piece that allows providers such as us to be able to support the Linea chain, and that's another part of our area of focus for on and off ramp providers, right? I mean, we really want to be able to provide liquidity and fulfill assets natively in new blockchains. A lot of the time, what happens behind closed door in our infrastructure is we're sourcing liquidity from various sources, and at times it's not easy to find liquidity in these newer chains. So there's a lot of backend work that happens for us to be able to fulfill these assets natively. So a lot of work going on before us being able to do an exciting campaign as this. Definitely on the UI side, I think, outside of DeFi, there's going to be a lot of other applications that are going to need a much better UI. Things such as gaming, for example. I think having low transaction costs is going to be very interesting for this segment, and that's what we're also building very much with mobile in mind. We've recently released one-click checkout with Apple Pay with MetaMask earlier this week. So we're really also focused in trying to have friendlier mobile experiences, which I think it's going to be the future for a lot of the new Web3 applications.
Very cool. I love that you mentioned mobile, because I think the generation that scares me the most is always Gen Z, and they are very mobile first. I'm going to kind of combine the next two questions, because you also touched upon the different chains. So we are seeing like a proliferation of different chains, like new L2s popping up. I'm curious from you guys' perspective, what are the challenges? And you mentioned this a little bit, challenges, solutions that differ within this space, or like what happens because of this. And then the follow-up question, right, is like, with these caveats in mind, from your perspective, what do you guys evaluate when choosing where to start kind of supporting? Let's see the order. I want to be fair, but I also don't want to put Angel last again. So we're going to do Yeshu, Angel, Seamus, Ryan. I hope that makes sense. Please remember it, because I just forgot.
You mean like so I mean like related to challenges, there are a lot of chains are popping up. I will say like one of the thing is layer one are known for scalability but high transaction cost, right? Like I mean like that is something why new chains are also coming up, because there is very high transaction cost, and that's where I believe like Linea also coming here in layer 2 side, where we're making it very fast, secured, right? And until this problem is solved, like I still see like many chains will still come, blockchains will still come, and will be like providing the solution for that, right? Like even I'm seeing like apps chain also started coming in, and yeah, like Transact is something which we are focusing on, not only for one chain, it's like multi chains, like where whatever the chains you are, and like providing the liquidity support, providing the best user experience support there. So yeah, I mean, like the way we do this is like make sure even if the gas cost and all of these things are high, like for the transaction, we basically many times we take different strategies to sort the liquidity, even like for depending on the chain. So example, like for our reserve, we sometimes like we fill the reserve in bulk, so that the transaction cost per user is low, and user can easily onboard with their fiat to that chain faster and at low cost. That is something we also do that, to make it like less costly for the end users as well. Yeah, that's me. Over to Ryan. Yeah.
Okay, happy to go next. And sorry, Emily, can you repeat the question? It sounds like issues with.
Okay, no worries. I will repeat the question. So, in a summary, we have a proliferation of different chains coming up. What are the challenges kind of that you guys are seeing? And then from that perspective, how do you evaluate kind of where you decide to start building and supporting?
Yes, great call out. So we've actually recently put together a framework when it comes to chains and what we're putting in terms of a default. So you'll start to see kind of those defaults show up across each of our different clients. So the extension, the portfolio, and the mobile application. Right now, of course, they are all EVM with snaps that is scheduled to come next month. You'll start to see additional non-EVM chains start to be enabled. But really, like having a proliferation of chains does make it relatively difficult from the standpoint of you do have to bridge and move assets around. And so the more chains that are there, even if you have a multi-network sort of build, it does still make it really difficult for individuals to go and figure out where they need to move when they need to move it. And so again, we need to kind of abstract away, and I think this has been talked about before, abstract away that experience so that we can essentially do a one-click checkout, which is I want to interact with this NFT on a specific, say, game. It is on this chain. The individual user shouldn't need to care. In the background, we can go and we can leverage on-ramps, bridges as a means to essentially get them to that place and then obtain that asset for them so they can actually interact with, say, the game. When it comes to decisions in terms of what we're looking at, we do have kind of a multitude of different areas. One of those is, of course, security, scalability, and decentralization. The other two is we really want to make sure that we're seeing a lot of interaction that's associated with it, because enabling and supporting an additional chain from like a curated perspective does take a lot of work. And so we are going to be focusing primarily on those where we're seeing the most amount of interactions, and they're of course following that premise of security and decentralization, so that we make sure that they're going to be long-lived and that we're making sure that we're keeping users safe. Of course, with the extension, it's highly flexible, so you can go and you can add any chain that is EVM as of today on there. But when it comes to some of our other experiences, say like on mobile or the portfolio, we are going to gravitate towards the ones that we just talked about. So I'm not sure who's next, but maybe I'll call out Seamus.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, like in terms of support, right? Like at least Circle, like we want to stay net neutral, and there's going to be a lot of different use cases for each chain, and things that we look at are usage by like actual end users as well as developer adoption. Without developer adoption and without developers building things, there's not going to be much there. And what I'd say is that those are things that we're really anchored on. We're not looking as much on like hate to say it, meme coins and speculative assets, things like that. We're looking at what are really world utility, what are interesting use cases, what are they doing to try to change things for end users or businesses in a way that hasn't been done. So that's something we really gravitate towards in terms of support. And we're not trying to pick winners and losers for chains, and totally recognize that there's, very specific use cases for specific chains and other, general purpose chains. We're just here as more of like infrastructure and support for digital dollars and digital euros. So I'll pass it along to Angel.
Yeah, really want to piggyback on, especially on some of the points that Ryan made. I think we're very much invested and we see a multi-chain future. I think there's going to be room for more and more, probably thousands of L1s and L2s to continue to come up in the coming years. And it's really up to us infrastructure providers to make it as simple as possible for the end users to be able to interact with them. I think the end goal is for an end user to be able to interact with a dApp and they don't know that they're utilizing a blockchain or what blockchain it is. It's just really about bringing utility and powering those experiences. At the moment, it is a costly endeavor to support a new chain. So we do have, different somewhat requirements into what capacity we can continue to provide new chain support. It is something that we invest a fair bit in trying to have as many blockchain support and asset support as possible. But it's not something that today it can scale as quick as the number of chains is scaling. So, working with partners such as Linea, especially with our existing partnership with MetaMask, this is a perfect alignment. And there's already such an engaged audience base that I think we can tap into the early days that we're definitely committed to see things grow. I think bridging and on-ramp providers is probably two of the major infrastructure pain points in supporting L2s. If you look at especially things such as rollups as a service or app chain premises, these are basically small islands with potentially small liquidity that are going to need bridges and more access to liquidity in the coming years. So we're very much committed in building a smooth UI, so developers can leverage us as a way to bring user base into their ecosystems.
Okay, awesome. I have kept you guys here hostage for long enough. I had one last question to talk about your involvement, but that's like fine. That's information you can find online. So I'm just going to say again, a really big thank you guys for number one, joining the call, letting me kind of pick your brains, but also as well supporting Linea and supporting this campaign that's going to be happening. So I will wave you guys a big goodbye. If you guys want to get in contact, I guess probably Twitter is the best place to learn more about the different projects, which I'm hoping will like lead to your landing page for a website, and then you dive through all those holes or something. So anyways, again, I'm gonna make you wave again, and then go into some wrap up updates. So thank you. I will turn off your cameras now. So it's 1, 2, 3. Okay, cool. So it is just me left. So let's end with some kind of last reminder. So the first piece is, again, you can find all the information on both these things on Twitter. Whoops, I clicked the wrong one. On Mirror. So that's our blog, linea.mirror.xyz. Please follow for more information. Twitter is also a good place. If you have it right here, Linea Build. We have our Discord channels, which you can find on our website, linea.build. Oh, and then something I wanted to say is actually very cool. So linea.mirror.xyz is now supported on Linea itself. So if you mint any of those posts, those are going to become NFTs on Linea, which is super cool. I love seeing that ecosystem grow. Last piece is, I know you guys probably have a lot of questions. We are setting up another form for submitting kind of things that you might be curious about, this is a really long URL. Screenshot it. I will this will also go out in a format that you can actually click on it later. But anyways, that's I think mostly everything that I was going to talk about with regards to the campaign itself, how to learn more information. Oh yeah, so as again to talk about portfolio, I think this is the link. But yeah, few things to stay engaged with Linea. First off, if you guys remember our NFT voyage, the biggest airdrop in the history, especially on an L2, the Omega Mint is still live. So what that means for people here today, there are certain parameters for which you are eligible for that mint. If you want to learn more, you can watch our first mainnet live stream. So if you find us on YouTube, youtube.com/@lineabuild, I believe towards the end of the stream is where you're going to learn more about all of the Omega Mint. Other pieces, if you want to meet us in person, like I said before, okay. First off, virtually, I will be hopping on Decentraland. Look for the avatar that looks like me, I guess. The farthest you can get is like Banks. But our other partners and people will be around to kind of celebrate today. If you want to meet our see us breathe in person, we will be live at Permissionless in Austin, so find us there. We will also be kind of around all of Asia in September, so Korean Blockchain Week, Token 2049, ETH Korea. I don't remember everything off the top of my head, but again, you can always find information on all of our channels. A last few pieces as well. If you guys don't know, we run monthly community calls. There will be one at the end of August. This is very exciting. So we learned a lot about DeFi on Linea. We will actually be bringing on one of our researchers to talk about the arithmetization and the tech side of why Linea is so cool. So this is, I think, all I have to say. Thank you for staying on. If you stayed on this entire period, please spread the word about how great Linea is. Let's celebrate together, and I will see you in Decentraland. Okay, I'm gonna end the stream in 3, 2.